She dressed the icon models of the 1960s. Now in her 60s, she ends her fashion shows with a cartwheel. Wildly creative and still in her prime, Betsey Johnson's designs hit New York Fashion Week in a fandango of flirty dresses. And we show you how to get that look.
This year, a chubby little baby by the name of Layla somewhat stole the show at New York Fashion Week. It's a story that begins with a remarkable 64-year-old designer and proud gran, Betsey Johnson.
Betsey, your range has been the most flirtatious, happiest range since the start of Fashion Week. Apparently your granddaughter was your inspiration?
Baby Cakes theme came from Layla, I know, was like a thing, but I've always loved baby vintage clothes. I love vintaging, but baby clothes are so gorgeous. There were many baby clothes on the runway for big girls, and then I took it to a more serious couture level, remembering my high school years of, $55 dresses, but they had that couture look, so it was a range, but I just knew this would be a celebration of my granddaughter's show.
She's known for her whimsical and feminine designs and a love of costume from her days as a dancer. In the 60s, she was part of artist Andy Warhol's underground scene and by 1969 had opened a boutique. In the 70s, she blossomed and her Alley Cat label was the favorite of rock musicians. Her originality has always drawn an entourage of big-name clients.
The idea we had was little girl Lolita, 13-year-old flirtatious, to sex pot, to siren. Not in that order especially, but those kinds of clothes. And I think girls want all kinds of clothes. They don't want to be one thing.
Her fashion flair has attracted celebs like Salma Hayek and Courtney Love. How to get the new Betsey look fell to Shana Rosenthal, head of Lysoff, with its lively campus based in Johannesburg.
Betsey Johnson is an institution in her own right. The woman is an individualist, which to me really encompasses fashion today. She's not a trendoid. She doesn't believe as much in trend as she does about creating her own complete individuality.
3 years ago, Betsey introduced a line of shoes and lingerie, followed by handbags, hats and scarves, enough to keep her 45 stores around the world well stocked.
I think you're looking at combination dressing of vintage 50s. The influence of a grandchild brings that youthfulness and that childlike element to it. I think that comes through very strongly in both the polka dots, the oversized bows, and if you have a look at the proportion of the clothing, you'll see sort of the empire line and the very big skirts.
The team used a set of simple elements, from a t-shirt and black lace to embroidery cotton and gold spray paint.
We wanted to take Betsey Johnson home to South Africa and bring a little bit of shwe into Betsey.
It would be inspiration, not duplication. The spirit of the designer is all about breaking with tradition and going big on personality.
So we're going to take a normal piece of chalk and just plot all our style lines, beginning with the empire line, which is a seam that runs just below the bust, which is going to give that baby doll feel.
Betsey Johnson hasn't sold out to a big chain, and with a company that generated over $50 million last year, she's an inspiration to all young designers.
Look at a t-shirt, still flat. So we're going to cut out a square. Then we're going to stitch it onto this, on the side seams, to give it a bit of volume and to give it like shape as well.
To get the flowy, flirty look of Betsey's spring collection, the Lysoff team tailored a simple t-shirt into a fitted spaghetti strap mini. Betsey's style veers from metallic micro minis to pink tutus and floral stretch lace tank tops. Plenty of leeway for the team to expand their concept. This year's show had all the right stuff. From cocktail dresses that would stop conversation in mid-sentence to heels with enough height to command respect for balance.
To create an interesting texture, I'm using this gold spray paint, which I'll spray over this lace on the t-shirting fabric, which creates a nice finish. Then with a simple dinner plate, I'm going to be making snail frills, which are frills that go from narrow, round to wide at the end. And then you pin those onto the dress and the narrow parts hang down, which creates an interesting look.
Betsey Johnson is a workaholic, and her contribution to the industry was awarded by an invitation to join the Fashion Walk of Fame in 2002. A year doesn't go by without a new launch, and the constant creativity keeps her in the fashion spotlight.
This is our Afro interpretation of Betsey, our very local interpretation of Betsey. We've got our HoY polka dot or circles that you can see all over her range. We've got our empire line, which is also very apparent. We've got the frills, and we've got the large bow at the back. It's fun, it's young, it's sexy, it's contemporary. It's Betsey.
It worked in the 60s when she was dressing models like Twiggy and Verushka, and it still works 40 years on. Betsey's boundless energy is also her way of celebrating life. She's a breast cancer survivor and remains a powerful force in fighting the disease, often creating one-of-a-kind items for fundraising auctions. With a figure that puts many 20-year-olds to shame, she always ends her shows with her signature flip.
What's the secret to a grandmother being able to do cartwheels the way you do?
I wanted to be a Broadway showgirl, and my expertise was acrobatics. That didn't happen, but I do manage to do a cartwheel every year. That is my sign of good health, if I can do a cartwheel. I have runway pressure, thank you.
Well done.
Feminine and playful, the collection was a hit. She may do bows, ruffles and pleats, but Betsey Johnson knows just where to put them and how to draw the line between high fashion and fancy dress.